what if I just figured something out about myself on your show?
I love it.
You're such a good host.
I'm taking this to my therapy this week. Today's guest is a Grammy-nominated arranger, best known for her work as a composer and conductor. Please welcome to the Zoom, Esin Aydingöz.
Hello, hello.
Hello. How are
So
you?
excited to be here. I'm so good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate you being here and sharing your story.
Thank you for your interest.
Of course. Oh my gosh, you're incredible. I was telling my family earlier, I'm so excited to learn more about your story and journey.
Thank you so much.
So where are you from?
I'm from Istanbul, Turkey.
What was your childhood like growing up in Istanbul?
It was pretty fun. So it's completely different than US, but it also has very similar aspects. I'm an only child. My parents are both doctors, so they were like super interested in me and made as much time as they could for me. But I also like grew up with babysitters a little bit because they were
Uh-huh.
both very hard workers. So I grew up with friends being my siblings, and then I made a lot of music. It was a fun childhood. I can't complain.
So with two parents as doctors, how did you find your way into music?
When I was 4 years old, my grandfather got me this little toy keyboard. There was this thing in Turkey. If you buy the same newspaper every single day, there's a page of it that you can collect. And then if you
Uh-huh.
collect enough of those, you can turn it into a gift. Like it could be a keyboard, an encyclopedia, a dictionary, or whatever. So he was collecting those, and like the gift at that time was the keyboard toy piano thing. So he got me that, and then it became my favorite toy. At first, obviously, it was like very funsies and game-like and nothing serious. I was just 4.
Mm.
So I started learning music by ear. I mean, like learning kids' songs by ear. And my parents realized my interest in it, and then they got me a very, very cool um, piano instructor who was in a pop band at the time. So like I really liked her, which made me like music more. And then I got more and more into it. So by the time I was in third grade elementary school, I started going to a state conservatory program, which was part-time and it was in addition to my regular elementary school. So over the weekends, I was getting like music theory, ear training, classical piano lessons. And in the week, I was in this regular school where I was also
Wow.
taking part in choir, musical theater, like other kinds of entertainment related activities, I guess. And I
Yeah.
fell in love with it. So that was my entry into music.
What about performing and music did you love?
So I was always the shortest person in my classrooms ever. Like right now I'm 5'1". Like I didn't grow up much. So my friends would always make fun of me for being the shortest, to the point that even our teacher would call me lentil because I was so little. So
Oh.
every day in school, if there's like lentil soup, it's hi, like today is the Esin soup day, yada yada. But then whenever there's a performance, because I was like playing piano way better than any other kid, all the adults, all the professors would put so much faith in me and they would always have me backstage ready to play six, seven, eight, however many songs. So if something went wrong with our shows, because we had, like drama, dance, other kinds of artistic things, but like kids get lost in dressing rooms, or sometimes the kid doesn't want to go on stage and then the teacher has to convince them to go on stage. So I was ready waiting there to take the show over and, kill time playing
Mhm.
piano. So on those days, I was not the lentil soup. I was like, the star. And I really enjoyed it. And it wasn't just being on stage. I also really liked rehearsals.
Mhm.
Um, some people would hate like having a full day of rehearsals. I mean, some kids loved it because that means you don't have to do maths or science and you're just like on a stage messing around. But I didn't love it for that reason. It would actually make my happiest memories ever. Like I loved the stage light and I loved having that kind of fun where we can connect to audiences. And I was also like Cinderella in fifth grade. And it was so funny
Oh.
because we couldn't handle the dress change. So they picked two Cinderellas, a kitchen version and a ball version.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I got the kitchen version. So
Okay.
I was first bummed a little bit, but I had more songs and more lines. And, like I made peace with it and I had the best time. And at the end of the show, the parents were coming to me like, could you please come clean our house too? Because I was like brooming the stage when I didn't have the line.
Oh my
So like
God.
yeah, I like that I convinced them, like I take things mostly positively. So even stupid comments like that, I was like, oh yay, like I convinced them. That's good acting. Go me, yay.
Did you
So
dream of coming to America and going to LA?
yes and no. I've always dreamed of working for Disney. So, like Disney Studios being in LA. Sorry. I of course dreamed about it, but it wasn't realistic because Turkey is so far and like who am I to achieve these goals? I'm just a little girl. So not at first, but then through my dad's best friend or like one of his best friends, I found out about Berklee College of Music. Who and they do this like summer program, which is 5 weeks long. So it's great for high school students to see if they would like the, Boston scene, Berkeley in general, pursuing music at a more serious level. So I did that summer program, and that completely like blew my mind because I fell in love with it. I really enjoyed being in a place where so many different people from different cultures were present. So I truly had the best time in those 5 weeks. And my parents sending me there, they were freaking out a little. They're like, Essen has never been alone for this long, 5 weeks in another country. Like, she doesn't know anyone. She's gonna miss out so much. She's gonna freak out. This is gonna go bad. Oh, it was the opposite. I had the best time ever. When they came to pick me up, like, I didn't even spend time with them because I was so busy saying bye to all the professors and the students. And I was so dramatic about it. I was like, what if this is my last day at Berkeley ever? What if I don't get into the college? Yeah, like things went a little unexpectedly. And also, I should say this. So, as I told you, I was practicing classical piano at this conservatory, and I liked it, but I didn't love it to the extent that I wanted to do it for a living. So, I was actually considering other career paths. But it was when I realized that I can write music that
Mhm.
that shift happened. And that was also so funny because my best friend, who was also in all these like musical theater stuff in school with me, she started playing piano after me, and she also joined the conservatory with me. So
Oh,
during the days we're in the same class, but over the weekends she's like 2 grades lower than me. And one day when we were 13, she wrote a song about a guy who broke her heart. And teenager stupid brain went, oh, if she can write a song, I can write a symphony. I've been doing this since four, baby. So then started writing songs and also instrumental music. And my friends kept saying, oh, like this sounds like film music. It could be in this series or this film or this whatever, which opened my mind about this being a career and like this is the thing I could do for Disney.
Mm.
So that was the real fire behind this passion.
Oh my gosh. I know when my mom's watching this interview, she's going to be waiting for me to ask you this. My mom, her favorite TV show is a Turkish show and it's called Black Money Love. Have you
Black
seen
money.
it?
It might it can I just Google really
Yeah,
quick
yeah,
what it
yeah,
is?
yeah.
Okay,
I
okay,
just
okay,
know
okay.
that she's like going to be watching this waiting for me to ask you that. So I have to.
Yeah, yeah. Please ask. Okay. I haven't seen it, but the actors are so, so, so famous. And I know that
Okay.
both leads. And
Oh,
I'm gonna watch it for your mom. Thanks,
yeah.
mom.
She loves the character Omer. Apparently he's like he's
Oh, yeah. It's all about American Turkey.
a heartthrob. Anyway, your story is just amazing. So, what did your parents think when this passion was getting more serious? Were they supportive of it becoming your career?
They were so supportive. I'm so lucky. In Turkey, the general consensus towards studying arts is that you should first have a real career, like, I don't know, engineer, doctor, lawyer, whatever. But like music or arts should come second. But I really didn't want to waste time doing something that I know I'm not passionate. And my parents were really supportive. So my dad, when he was little, I think he wanted to be a musician, or he always had this deep passion to the point that he would know about classical composers or instrumentalists or conductors even more than my teachers did. Like he would blow them away with his knowledge of like this artist had this album with this record label which sold this much and like the world premiere took place there here like he was so 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 into it. So it's thanks to him that I also grew up going to classical music concerts and jazz concerts at a very young age. Like they never left me home alone. If the concert venue allowed kids to be there, I was always there, and I never made noise. I was very good. So he would also take me to publicly open rehearsals. So I don't know, like I got to see the magical world of performing in a more professional setting thanks to my dad, because of course, like I'm doing it at school, but it's at a kid level, you
Yeah.
know? So both of these kind of get combined, and that's how I found my, I guess, path in life.
Wow.
Yeah, so thanks, Dad. And also, my mom was so supportive too. Oh my God. I would always like cry and write songs, and I was this like dramatic teenager, and they had to hear every single version of every song I wrote. So nice patience from both of them.
Parents can relate to that for sure. Did you have any mentors growing up in music?
Yes, I have this incredible piano teacher. She's kind of like a third grandma to me. She gave me classes for free for years.
Wow.
During the pandemic, we actually exchanged pianos, which touched me so much because I grew up with an upright piano that her husband, who sadly passed away, helped us pick. He was also into music. He was an incredible composition teacher. And when I was getting piano lessons with my teacher, my dad was getting composition lessons with her husband so that he can understand me better.
Mhm.
And my mom had to work during the weekend, so she could not join the lessons. Um, but yeah, through the pandemic, she decided to give me her baby grand and take over my upright so that she can teach more lessons on my piano and I can have more fun with her grand. And because she's getting old, she wanted me to have it, which is so beautiful, and I still can't believe I have it. I love her so much, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Her name is Madeleine.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So you came out to Berkeley for the like few week
Summer program.
okay. And then
Yeah.
did you come out to the States for college?
Correct. Yeah, that's when I like fully moved, and I don't really have any relatives in the US, so it was again a big leap of faith. But it went great. And also a lot of the students from that summer program ends up at Berkeley, so
Mhm.
it's not like it was a new place for me anymore. It was like coming back home in a way.
Did you love it?
I loved it so much. Like I tried to extend my time there as much as I possibly could. I did two majors and a minor.
Oh
I never
wow.
did semesters in a way that I was taking classes. Like I did internships and I worked at school, but I wanted to really stay there as much as I can. So I did the full 5 years, and I remember like even on my fifth year, I still couldn't believe that I was there because like I wanted it so much. There was this Hilary Duff movie, I don't know if you've seen it, Raise Your Voice. She was going to a summer school about music or something, and I watched it probably 100 million times. So I couldn't believe that I was living that dream, not in a summer school setting only, but like for 5 full years. And there was a Dunkin' Donuts right by Berkeley, and I would like still stand there, look at the building, and tear up in my fifth year. I'm like, I'm here. So graduating for me was really hard because I really didn't want to leave that place ever. Actually, after the pandemic, I moved back and I worked there for 13 months. I was the assistant chair of the film scoring department where I graduated from, and it was so nice being back. But seeing all the passionate students, I'm like, hey, like I'm not wired to do admin work. I'm here to do music, and every day I keep remembering it, seeing the passion in the students' eyes. So I was like, okay, time for me to quit. Like I love Berkeley, but not this much.
Yeah.
Like I want to be an inspiring alumna, and I want to be a good example for all the women students and all the international students. And I want to be an active part of the community still, but I really wanted to pursue music 24/7. So I left this time with my own will, which was weird.
Are the States what you were expecting?
Um, I don't think I had expectations. Like, or maybe I did, but I watched so many TV series and films. I watched all of Dawson's Creek, How I Met Your Mother,
Uh,
Lost, Friends. So like I knew what to expect. So I wasn't surprised in a bad way or a good way. It was exactly what I thought it would be. So yeah.
so after you left school on your terms,
My terms, yeah.
yes. Did you move to LA and how did you get your career started?
You mean moving like after I left the job or as a student?
After you left the job?
So something super magical happened. And I actually left because I got a tour offer to go on tour with Disney concerts to conduct Disney Pixar's Coco Live-To-Film with a Mexican orchestra for 2 months. And as I told you, like I live and die for Disney. So that wasn't something that I could say no to.
Mhm.
I explored the option of doing both simultaneously, as in like I would be on tour, but from the tour bus I would do all the Berkeley emails, etc. But it wasn't realistic. And it's like at the assistant chair level, you really have to be in the school and like dealing with visiting artists, attending curricular meetings, seeing students. So um, I had to make a choice between going on tour for Disney or staying at Berkeley. And I don't think like something this epic and magical
Yeah.
comes this often. And it was my first ever professional conducting gig, which is so wild to me. Like
So how did
I
that
have
happen?
um literal pixie dust. Um, okay, I'll explain. So when I graduated from college and did my first move to LA, I was working so many different jobs. Like I was a freelance composer, but I did music directing at community theaters. I taught kids piano. I was trying to be involved in the scene as much as I can. So I also did some like production work, like production assistant in concerts behind the screen. Well, not screen, backstage. Sorry, like I'm so like film oriented. So then like I worked with a bunch of companies who put together these incredible Disney concerts in LA at the Hollywood Bowl. So I got
Mhm.
to work on Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, Coco, Nightmare Before Christmas. Same company. It's called Black Ink. They also did Rocketman, the Elton John movie at the Greek Theater. So I was like
Beautiful.
backstage doing whatever is needed, and it's sometimes as little as decorating the rooms of the stars who are performing, but sometimes because they know I do music, I got to be a score reader for the mixing engineer or the video director. So I like read the music and I tell them, okay, like French horn solo is coming up. Now this singer is gonna have the lead, so like focus on this camera, like that kind of stuff.
Wow, so
So
cool.
I was like this joker person who doesn't mind doing whatever like a little task, but also who's like so happy to jump in with whatever musical task. So like through time, I became friends with all the companies and talent agencies and like whomever was backstage. And I did a conducting workshop during my time at Berkeley. So our winter break was at the same time as this incredible workshop at Warner Brothers in LA about conducting for film composers. So I did that. I shared videos, and AMP Worldwide, which is now my managers and my management company, like they saw videos of me conducting, and they're like, "Esin, do you conduct?" And I'm like, not really, but yes, like I would love to." So we had a bunch of meetings, and they really took a big leap of faith in me, and they hired me for this tour that they were promoting and producing, which to me is still so wild because I think Coco is my favorite film ever.
Hmm.
Even when I saw it, like it has such a key component in my life. There's an organization called Society of Composers and Lyricists, which is very active in New York, LA, and Nashville, for which now I'm a board member. And they do private screenings for musicians in LA of films,
I've
and they
been to
also
one of their
in
events.
yeah, you did, right? They're amazing. I was at an event for them yesterday.
Oh,
They're
amazing.
incredible. So they were having this private screening before Coco came out with Michael Giacchino, the composer of it, who also scored Up, Incredibles, Ratatouille, like all the incredible animated films that I grew up with, in addition to Lost, which I'm also obsessed with. So I got to be at that screening and see that film in its beauty, and I was crying so much at the end because it's like so beautiful for any musician to see. And I got to meet Michael Giacchino after, and I looked like a death metal vocalist with all my mascara all over my face, but it didn't matter because I was like so happy. So, anyways, like, Coco was my introduction to STL, through which I met a lot of my LA friends and community. And then I got to go on tour with Coco, and like honestly, being on tour for that, it's all my like top memories ever, period. Because there's something magical about sleeping on the bus for 6 hours and waking up to an incredible concert venue. And then sometimes we would have like only performances for kids. So like at night we have the public performance, but sometimes we arrive early and schools do this field trip where 2,000 kids come to see us. And sometimes we do the whole show to them, and sometimes it's more like a workshop. And then I can invite kids to come conduct with me, which is one of my favorite things ever. So
Wow.
I like truly had this weird, almost Disney princess level experience touring with them. And I just got back from our second tour. So I'm like now trying to fall back in love with just making music from my studio alone, which is a little hard. But
Yeah.
yeah, like I'm so grateful.
Where was your favorite location on tour?
Oh, that's so tough. This year, I think it was either Portland, Northridge, or Seattle, because like when the audience have that crazy energy, it really like comes to us and we feel it. Like even though my back is turned at them, like I don't really see them actively as I'm performing, but I can feel their energy. Like sometimes they laugh so much, or you hear them crying,
Mm.
Like when those things happen and it's happening at a gorgeous, gorgeous venue, it's really special. For example, in Portland, some Turkish people there who I guess heard that I was conducting, they came with outfits like Turkish flags to
Wow.
surprise me, and that was so magical for me because I never had that happen before.
Mm.
Or in Seattle, it was like I can't even tell you how beautiful the venue was. And it was packed. Most of our shows were sold out, actually. So just like hearing them go crazy clapping or seeing a little kid trying to run to you and give you a high five, like those things to me are so magical because I'm not used to them. Composing is such an isolated job. When I write music, I'm always alone in the studio that you're seeing, and I create and create and create. And the directors don't always like your work. So you always have to adjust and revise and always ask yourself, like, am I good enough? Like, am I going to do a good job? Am I doing justice to this film? So there's like so much self-doubt.
Mm.
But because Coco, the film is beautiful, the orchestra is amazing. Like, I'm trying to do my best. So, like, when we came together, it's magic every night, and then we hear instant feedback that it's loved and it's moving people.
Yeah.
Like so many people came as their birthday gift, like as a surprise. They didn't know where they were going, and it ended up being our show, and they loved it so much. Or like so many people from the Mexican community came, and some people even flew from Mexico to see us, which is wild and such a big honor. So I love that we can touch people. Like I think like that's my favorite thing about music. So anytime I get to see it, it's extra special.
When kids come up to you, does it make you think about your younger self?
Um, yes and no, because sometimes they're so little, I don't even have memories of being that young. One of my college friends, I kid you not, she came to Seattle with her two kids, and it was the first ever concert experience for both of them. And one of them was born 3 weeks ago. Like, I was holding her, and she's like slightly bigger than my baton. Like, you
Oh my
it's
God.
it's beautiful. So, like when I see those, I think more than relating to myself, I think about the impacts that I'm making because like women conductors, like we're not extinct, we exist, but like I haven't seen one growing up. So, getting to be the first or second for a lot of kids, like
Mhm.
that is next level for me. That's so meaningful.
If your 15-year-old self could see you now, what do you think she'd say?
That she would die. She would think that I'm joking and it's not real. Like she wouldn't believe, or she would have to like be on some mental like medication or something because like it would just be too much. And I
That
still
is,
have some dreams that I haven't accomplished. Um, and I hope they come true. Like I'm doing my best. But
what are
yeah,
those
like I'm
dreams?
oh, what are those dreams? I would love more than anything to be the composer of a big Disney Pixar animated feature film. I would love to write music for Cirque du Soleil shows. It's so inspiring to me when different art forms come together. Like it's even more powerful than how powerful music can be alone. So I have this love for Broadway shows. That's also one of the reasons why I went into movies because again, like so many artists come together and you create something bigger than you can do alone. So yeah, like I want to be a part of projects that inspire people. I think there's a lot of violence in the world, sadly, and I hate that we have to see it all and people have to suffer.
Mhm.
And I think some of it is inspired by media because there's also so much violence in film and TV. So I want to use my artistic voice in projects that don't inspire that, but that inspire more love and kindness and compassion and understanding. So yeah, like do meaningful work with people that I really connect with. And I really look up to the creator duos like Steven Spielberg and John Williams or Damien Chazelle and Justin Hurwitz. Like they grow together, which I think is so beautiful. And the trust is there, and obviously their genius is there. So if I could find a director that, we can become grandmas together at the same time, like that would be so sweet.
Oh my gosh. What was your reaction to learning that you're Grammy nominated?
That was so crazy. I was on the Coco tour. So like I'm already high on living a dream and it's already surreal. And I didn't think it would happen. So they got the Grammy nominations through this live stream link on YouTube where they go by like category by category and it takes time because there are like 90 categories or something.
Right.
And it was being announced at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. our time. And I partied with my beautiful orchestra night before. We were doing salsa until 3 a.m. Like I don't 3 a.m. And we were on a tour bus because we had like a 6 a.m. bus call or something. We were going to Arizona. It was going to be our first Arizona show. But anyways, we're on the bus. I set an alarm and I'm the worst snoozer. Like I have never in my life once woken up with the first alarm ever. And you would think like the Grammy nomination announcement day, but I didn't. So like I snoozed.
No.
And obviously the bus hates me because everybody hears my alarm. I snoozed only once, and then I woke up like 10 minutes later. I'm like, we're not going to be the first thing to be announced, you know? I can sleep more. And then by the time I woke up, thank God it was announced because I don't think I could have waited. Like, I don't think I could have watched it being announced. And my phone was already blowing up, and my nominee has already been like, Azan! Like, so then it was a lot of FaceTimes, a lot of resharing people's celebratory stories, but it felt real. Like honestly, it never felt real. It still doesn't feel real. And I'm proud to be a first-time Grammy loser because like the nomination stays with you forever.
Yeah.
So like nothing can take that away from us, which is so beautiful. But I also really enjoyed feeling like a star because like normally I'm composing in my pajamas in my studio, which is in my home. So it's not like I get to work with designers and get to dress up. And sure, I go to movie screenings, but like before the Grammys, I've always done my own makeup. I just shopped, never been to a designer's like
Right.
designing home. So I got to do some crazy stuff thanks to the nomination. And in Turkey, we don't really have like Turkish Grammy nominees that much, though we did have another Turkish one last year with me, which makes me so happy. He's also based in Boston and he's also a Berkeley alum, I think. His name is Mehmet Ali Şanlıkol. Anyways, I just wanted to, celebrate him again. But yeah, like the Turkish press was so interested once they realized my nomination, which was 1 month after it was announced. So like it already died down and I was already back into my regular old,
Mhm.
nothing crazy, ordinary world. And then they noticed, and I was in Turkey. So I had this crazy press week where every single TV channel wants to come interview me in my home studio there, or
Oh,
like they're sending me private cars so that I can be taken to their studios and give interviews. So
yeah.
I had this 1 week of almost being a celebrity, which was weird because you can't do anything. You can't get anything done. So like experiencing that, I was like, wow, I have so much respect for Beyonce and like Taylor Swift or like, I don't know, actors and directors like who constantly have this.
Yeah,
Because I'm like, how do you continue to make art when there's so much attention?
for sure.
So yeah, like all the bands, all the musicians, shout out. Like I'm happy in my studio. I can't do it every once in a while, but I'd rather be on stage connecting with 2-year-olds.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
What did your parents think?
Oh, that like it was insane for all of us. I mean, they worked as hard as I did, harder than I did for me to have this life.
Mm.
So I'm so like I have goosebumps. Like I just want to make them so proud. And I think having something this like tangible, even though I didn't win it, like nomination, I call it tangible too. Um, that was great. That was really meaningful.
Do they live out
They
here
live
with
in
you?
Turkey.
Okay.
Yeah.
You visit them often?
I go twice a year, and then they also visit me sometimes. Like they came to the Grammys, obviously.
Mm.
Uh, so yeah, I miss them so much. I really wish they were here, but they have a life there, and I'm glad they gave me the freedom to come here. Like it's so huge. Like I can't imagine having a child and like letting them be free
Yeah.
and move to the other side of the globe. Like that's wild. And
Mm.
I know it was especially hard on my mom. Because like she was so sad when I was going to the summer program. Like for her, that was the main first goodbye. She was so sad, crying all the time. And I was just excited. I was like, haha, mom, you're crying again. Like, I was but like she knows me. So I think she knew deep inside, even though she was afraid that I wouldn't be able to adjust, like she knew I would fall in love with it and I would want more of it. So for her, that first separation was really, really impactful and like emotional. And at that time, my dad was traveling so much, so like he wasn't really home much. He was the he was the president of Turkish Orthopedic and Traumatology Association or something, and he was also the vice president of the European Federation of Orthopedics. So he's like always in some medical conference somewhere in the world. And me being gone on top of that, like it was, I'm like my mom is so giving, like I don't have words.
Mm.
So, mom, if you're listening.
What does a day in your life look like now?
It changes kind of every day. So there are a lot of emails,
Mhm.
both for me personally and because I'm the secretary of Alliance for Women Film Composers and also a board member for Society of Composers and Lyricists. So I have to do like voluntary organizational work for them.
Mhm.
So there are emails, there's always writing music. Um, I believe that like the more I do these kinds of talks and share my story, I can inspire people. And it's like not just about music, it's also about having the courage to do things. So, I try to do these kinds of things because it's also a reminder for me. Like when I'm sitting in my pajamas writing music, I'm not inspired by myself. But when I get to remember that, oh my God, yes, I did Coco, like now I can talk about
Right.
it. Or I literally forgot about the Grammy nomination until you mentioned it. So I was like, oh shit, he was actually nominated for a Grammy. That's great. Like I should keep working.
Yeah,
So it energizes me in a way. It's weird. Most composers, like they're more introverts, I guess, but I'm like too extroverted to actually be a composer. So I love going to events and I love going to screenings and watching other films because we have to be up to date with what else is going on in media. Because when we have meetings with directors, they're like, oh, I want a score like this, like that. And it's so hard to keep track because there's so many streaming platforms, there's so much content being made. But I try to keep up as much as I possibly can. So it's like watching other things that are going on and that are popular at the time, but also trying to give myself the bandwidth to create and not get influenced by them creatively.
sure.
Um, but yeah, it's writing concert music, library music. I just got my first big video game, so I will start working on that soon. But it's a lot of juggling.
Yeah. Since your work is so isolated, how do you stay disciplined and focused when you're by yourself?
I cannot. So, really keep me disciplined is the deadline. And not just any deadline. Like sometimes projects have deadlines that are 5 months before the actual delivery date,
Yeah,
and that doesn't get me the adrenaline rush to actually get it done. But if I know that really like it needs to get done, then nothing can distract me. And I'm weird. Like I can totally work for 10 hours straight without taking a single break.
Mhm.
And I'm cool. But just like I'm that way with 10 hours, I can do it. I'm also like that with binge watching.
Yeah.
So like sometimes I accidentally open like the pilot of a TV series and then found myself 9 episodes in and I'm like, what have I done? Like tomorrow
Totally.
I have to be a superhero and do today's work and tomorrow's work.
For sure.
Um,
But that's so true to this career path of, it's not
yeah.
much structured like another job.
No. No, and again, like it's hard to manage your day because sometimes like emails take longer to answer or when making art, you're never done. You're
Right.
only done when you deliver it. So
Mhm.
you keep speaking until you're done, which is hard because like I feel like in regular 9 to 5 jobs, there is a task and you do the task and the task is done.
Mhm.
And in music, we have those tasks too. For example, if I'm recording something, it's easier for me to get it done. Or if I'm doing music notation for another composer, like when it's notated, it's done. But the actual creative portion of it, creating, composing, arranging, adapting it to a bigger orchestra or whatever, you can always adjust it and make it better. Like if you don't make the composition better, you can make the mix better. So like it never ends. So my poor husband is like the most patient human on earth because I'm always like, okay, okay, I'm coming in 5 minutes. And then like 45 minutes go by and he's like, hi, we are gonna watch a movie. Remember? Like I'm here.
Is he in
Uh,
music?
he's not in music. He's in economics and finance. And we actually have been long distance for 8 years. And I'm hoping to bring him here soon. He's
Oh my
currently here for
gosh.
3 weeks and he's taking a nap because he's remotely working for Switzerland as he's here. So he
Huh.
wakes up at like 5, 6 a.m. and does his meetings and then he's gonna go back.
Did you guys meet back in Istanbul?
We met in Istanbul. He's Italian. We met right before my senior, as in fifth year at Berkeley,
Mhm.
in my summer break, and he just moved there at the time for a different job. So, yeah,
Wow. 8 years long distance. That's
I know.
hot.
Like, even if I never win a Grammy, like, I'll be in the long distance world Guinness Records some some level
Wow.
of iconic. So yeah, it's thanks to him that I've achieved it.
What are your big goals right now?
Ooh, that's a good question. Um, all of my conducting has been either my own compositions or like live to film.
Mhm.
So I would love to explore getting more into the concert conducting scene a little bit because it intimidates me. Like the idea of conducting a Beethoven symphony, I don't know why. Well, actually, I know why I lied. It's scary because I feel like the classical music audience is so judgy and they listen to like so many versions of that same piece over the course of their lives, whether it be recordings or concert performances. So like they come in with high expectations.
Mm.
And I feel like in that regard, it would scare me a bit more to go up and do it without getting worried at all. Because conducting live to picture for me is so easy. We have a conductor's video, we have the click, and everybody comes to enjoy the movie, and the movie is already great. So even if some people play a wrong note here and there, or even if I don't nail a tempo at one spot in the film, it's still a great experience because the movie is already great. So like I, for some weird reason, never get nervous at all. I'm just like sheer excitement.
Mm.
The Coco tour, or I did Lion King in Turkey. So I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong and maybe I would enjoy it just as much and I would never be terrified. But because I've never done it before, that's something that intimidates me. And I love doing things that intimidate me. So hopefully a near goal for me is to explore a little bit conducting classical composers' work or other living composers' work. Another goal would be I have never done a TV series of my own. Like I've done additional music for other composers on TV series, but it was never like all music by Essen. So
Mm.
within the next 2, 3 years, I would really love to get especially an animated series. That would be incredible. And getting my works be premiered by more orchestras
Mm.
because again, like my passion kind of came from my experiences with my dad. So orchestra, live music, classical music, it's so dear to me. And I feel like there is a separation between film music and concert music, even though it's both played by an orchestra. So I want to break those barriers and exist in both worlds kind of at the same level.
Mm. What is the most challenging thing you've been through in your life?
Oof. Um, I mean, right now, honestly, it feels like being back from tour is the most challenging because I'm normally a very joyful person and I'm also like very nostalgic. So like right now, I'm not living in the present. Like when I close my eyes, or I don't even have to close my eyes, I'm back on tour, I'm back on tour, and I'm back on tour, and I can't focus. So I guess I need to believe that something just as great will come soon. That's the hard part about being freelance. You never know what's next.
Mhm.
And we always do so many meetings, and there are always hypothetical, incredible projects going on. And sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't get them. So it's hard to be kind to yourself.
Mhm.
Like it's weird when a friend of mine is heartbroken because they didn't get a gig that they wanted to get, or for any reason. I can be so supportive. But when I don't get it, I'm not supportive to myself. I'm like, ah, girl, you sucked that interview. The second question
Literally,
was that.
I
What were
can't.
you thinking?
No, I like the same thing the other week. 100% know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so I think I need to learn how to be kinder to myself and be as kind to myself as I am to others.
Mm.
Um, but then maybe I have gotten this far because I'm not kind to myself. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think you've gotten this far because you're talented and hardworking and passionate and, have deserved the success, but I don't think you've, it's tough. I get it. I don't know what the
Yeah,
answer is, but I don't think not being kind to yourself is the answer, you know?
yeah. Oh, also I remember another hard thing. When I was, I think like 15, 14, uh, somewhere around that age, I finished my conservatory program that I mentioned to you at the beginning of our call. But then there was a longer conservatory program in another university that is also part-time. So I was trying to switch to that one. And I practiced for an entire summer. I postponed going to that Berkeley summer performance program thing, and I stayed in Turkey. And I was like, I can still go next year. Let me stay. And like, this is more important and more serious. And I was studying like not studying, sorry, practicing 7 hours a day or something to the point that my wrist was starting to, get hurt. And I got 100 from the piano exam. But then, and also like the department chair took me as her student, so I thought I got in. But then a week later, there was this music theory ear training exam, and they asked stuff that nobody prepared me for. Like you had to identify five noted chords by ear and write it down just hearing it once. And like I've never done it before. So I think I got like 2 out of 10 correct. So they were like, there's a problem with your other exam, we can't admit you. So then like that whole summer went to waste. Well, it didn't go to waste because I guess I became a better pianist, like having worked that much.
Mm.
But it was such a big heartbreak, and I almost turned my back to music because I was like so disturbed by that rejection. Like I didn't see it coming. And then also like having kind of been accepted at first
Yeah.
and getting with this teacher and being given a program to learn the upcoming year, like in my head, it was all done. So when it was taken away from me, I did not take that well. That being said, I'm so grateful that that happened because maybe if I were to get into that program, I would have stayed in Turkey, do that program, maybe studied something else. Like I have no idea. So I think because of that experience, I really enjoyed Berkeley so much because everybody was themselves. And in classical music, you're always kind of expected to perform things in the same ways that they have been being performed. So as beautiful as it is, and as much as it moves me, especially like the romantic era music really kills me every time I hear it. I found more joy in creating, or um, just like my first pianist mentor, I also had an incredible composition teacher who was from that second school I didn't get into, but we did private lessons. And he was the one to teach me to break the rules and that it's okay. I'm like, what do you want me to write for you? And he's like, whatever you want to write. So, like, some weeks I would write musical theater songs, some weeks I would write pop songs, some weeks I would try to write like a string quartet, whatever. But he gave me so much freedom. And I maybe would not have met him because then I was gonna go there just for piano and I like evolved into composition. So I'm so grateful for that rejection now, but at the time it was hell.
Yeah. That is such an important thing for anyone listening to hear and to apply to whatever, because everyone deals with rejection, you know?
Yeah,
And
on
it's
a
easy to
daily.
look back and like I can look back at different rejections and be like, oh, that was just, God's protection or like a blessing. And everything happens for a reason. But yeah, it's hard in the moment because you can't understand, you know?
Right. And I was reading an article that was sent to me by Catherine Joy, who is the previous president of Alliance for Women Film Composers. There was this editor person, like in literature, has nothing to do with music, and she went for 100 rejections a year because like when your goal is 100 rejections, you put yourself out there so much
Mhm.
that you forget the seeds that you're planting. And like it sucks waiting for a gig, like, oh, like I didn't hear it, it's been a week, it's been 2 weeks, like will I get it, will I not get it? But like when you put so much out there, you forget about them. So when something great happens, you're like so joyful about it. But when something doesn't happen, you're like, oh, thank God it didn't happen. I'm already so busy. Like, I couldn't have done it. Like, I couldn't have given it my all. So it worked for the best that I didn't get this. So, in order to be there, I think it's always important to go for more than you can handle because the reality is in entertainment business, like all the timelines always change or projects get canceled or you're at first expected to work on something March till May, but then things happen and now you have to work on it in November. So what are you going to do in March? So you kind of have to overbook yourself and like always have something going on. So that whole like idea of going for 100 rejections, I think it's really beautiful and really
Yes.
efficient.
I'm gonna apply that. That's amazing. Do you
Yeah.
do anything outside of music?
Do I do anything outside of music? Not really. Uh,
That's okay.
Sadly, no. I mean, the thing is like I love being in touch with people and caring for people. So like I'm still in touch with my elementary school professors or high school professors or like friends from all stages of life. And I actively try to keep in touch with them. So that takes a lot of time. So I guess like communicating with loved ones and getting caught up on their lives is something I love doing. And which I know is like not a hobby or anything, but
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and in my free time, I again go see musicals or go to museums and find inspiration or do artistic stuff. I'm so not into sports. Um, and like my husband keeps sending me videos like, if you don't work out until you're 30, which I'm 31, like it's bad because you have not built the muscles that you were supposed to build, and then you're gonna get old when you're 42. Like I'm like, ah, like stop it. So I really desperately need to find something active that is not necessarily sports.
Right,
Like I
right.
do want to go to dance class, but then I'm always delivering something and I don't have the bandwidth to go to a dance class. But I think it would be good if I did.
Hmm.
Um, and because of my musical theater days, I have such an interest in acting, like all sorts of storytelling I love, and I would love to act too. Like sometimes when I used to do the community theater, I would have minor roles, so I would also be on stage just a little, or like dance with the ensemble on two songs, and then go do the audio mix in the back for the rest of the show or something. So I guess that's my other thing outside of music, which is still very in the film musical theater world. So I don't know if it counts.
You have so many skills. You can just put on your own entire production.
My own one-woman show. Let's
Yes. Oh
go.
my gosh. I will be in the front row. Are you kidding?
Oh, thank
Amazing.
you. Oh my
Um,
God. You inspired me to write it.
what do you want your legacy to be?
Oh, I don't know. Definitely being a part of the Disney legacy. Like that would mean so much to me. I'm kind of sort of doing it as a conductor, but I would love to also do it as a composer. And what else? Like being an important woman figure. I think like that is so inspiring because you can never be the most successful, like the one with the most beautiful music or like I think the most is so hard to achieve and it constantly evolves and changes. But the first, no one can change the first.
Mhm.
So I would really love to be the first of something. Like I don't know what that is, but that would mean so much to me.
Mhm.
And even if people don't know my name, if they would know my music, that would also mean so much to me. Because I don't think people who are not composers necessarily know composers. Sure, they've heard of Hans Zimmer and John Williams, but like I can literally name you 200 incredible composers right now that the general public do not know their name. But for some of them, the projects that they worked on are high level and popular enough that they know their music for sure. So I want to be at that level.
Well, no doubt that you will be.
I have doubts, girl. Thank you. Thank you. I hope you're right.
This has been so enjoyable. I can't tell you how much your not only story, which is incredibly inspiring, but just your energy, even through the Zoom, has like brightened my day so much. And I just really am so grateful to have met you.
I'm gonna cry. Let me hang up. Thank you. Same, you too. Like you ask such questions that are way more personal than your average podcast. And I don't know, I like going to the deeper places. Like that's why we do music and that's where our music comes from. So getting to do an interview that feels like music, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. I can't wait to meet your mom. You're gonna have to talk about Black Money Love.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh. She's gonna freak out. That's amazing.
No, I was just saying to all the moms and dads who support their kids, you're the real heroes. Thank you.
100%. 100%.